Hi, everybody.
Hello, I'm Ryan.
I'm Bethany.
And we are Ryan and Bethany Board Game Reviews.
And today we'll be talking about Packo Games Set 3. But before we do, we just want to remind you to subscribe, hit that notification bell. Make sure that you can find us and see us. We have so many fun things going out. You definitely want to make sure that you are subscribed. Okay, Packo Games Set 3. All of the games are designed by Chris Handy, and it is published by Perplexed.
All right, you guys, if you're not familiar with the Packo Games line, what they are is a series of games that literally come in the size of a pack of gum. They have a few cards, a few skinny cards, but each one of them contains a full-fledged game. It's in a microscopic package. We first became aware of the Packo Games. It was a few years ago. It was a while back. There were some really fun games that we played. One of them was called Dig. One of them was called
Fly.
Fly was really fun and interesting. Bus. Oh, Bus. Yeah. I loved Bus. Okay, so basically they all have three-letter words. Bus, Fly, Dig, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, they all just use that same exact box and the exact same set of cards as far as size of cards and quantity of cards, but used in a crazy number of ways that is absolutely ingenious.
Yeah.
Over this past week, what we did is we went through on our social media channels. So if you follow us on Instagram or on our YouTube Shorts or on TikTok, be sure to go through and kind of check out all of our little micro videos. What we did is we had a little contest. We had a little fun with it.
Yeah. We wanted to see who picked the best games, and I did, because I just decided that right now in this moment. But they are really fun. I do want to mention a few things in a few of the games because I just thought it was hilarious. So specifically in Urk, the first player is who's the most irritating. So I really like that. Well, Ryan and I
we had to fight over who was going to be the first player. You're the first player. No, you are.
But it ended up Ryan had to go first because in our competition he accidentally pushed some cards off of the table. So obviously that's more irritating.
True.
Yeah. So I don't know. I thought that was really fun. It was one of the more unique first player things that I've seen in a game before.
Yeah, I think part of the genius of this set is how blown away we are of being able to kind of use the multi-use of the different cards in different new ways and new mechanisms that you're able to do with these different things. One of the things that I thought was really fun was Mad. Mad is a trick-taking game, but the cards are two-sided. One is positive, one is negative if you flip it upside down. And so what you're doing is you're trying to draft these cards, or you're taking them in terms of tricks, but you're taking them in such a way that you are taking positive and negative numbers based off of the timing of the game, and you're trying to get as close to zero in all these different suits as possible. So if you're really, really high in one of the suits, you might try to drop some negatives to bring it back closer to zero. And so it was the timing of this game was very, very important. It was a lot of fun to see how these just small little cards could be used in a trick-taking game and have them be double use in that way was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I really liked, so in Sly, you're drafting these cards face down into the hen house. What you're doing is you're trying to get the highest points of your hens. All your hens are numbered, and you're trying to get the highest points of your hens in there. However, every player also has a fox. So if a fox ever gets revealed with a hen, the fox eats that hen, even if it's your own hen. So you could get negative points through this. And so the game ends when there's only one card left or all the hen houses spots are filled. And I thought it was really fun to try to figure out what other people were thinking while also trying to get your stuff in there. So I like games where you're trying to play the other person as well as play the game.
In Far, this is kind of like a tile laying game. You have 4 different kinds of terrain, and you're laying the cards out in such a way that you're making clusters of these different terrain types. But the way the board is laid out, if you're playing a 2-player, the person across the table from you. If you're playing a 4-player game, it's 1, 2, and then 3 and 4 on the sides. So basically, if the sides that's facing you actually matters. So you basically score the biggest cluster of land tiles, of terrain tiles, that's facing you. So maybe there's a big old chunk of land that's facing you, but it's not facing your opponent. Or maybe your opponent's able to play a card in such a way that when it's facing you, also faces them. But you also don't want to get too big or else you bust. So I think it's a really fun kind of tug and pull kind of situation where you have to do it just right in order to make cards facing you. And you get some multipliers based off of playing the king and queen tiles. It's really fun. I think it's a really simple kind of tile style laying game. We have a lot of modularity to it.
Yeah. And in Nut, you are trying to draft these acorns. You're trying to get sets together, so you want colors together. So it's a shared pool that you're drafting from, and when somebody takes one in a row, the opponents also have to choose from that same. This is 2 to 3 player, just so you know. And you have to choose from that same pool while you're trying to put things in your own tableau in such a way to where you can get that. There's squirrels in here and they are multipliers, but they're only multiplier for your biggest section. So you kind of want to make sure that all your colors are close together as best as possible.
All right, next one I want to talk about is Yet. Yet is a game that's kind of about like time travel. The board is set up like a clock, and you are moving your airship around this clock. What you're doing is trying to end your turn on a tile based off of what time it is that has already happened. If you get to a place that hasn't happened yet, you can't take that tile. And taking those tiles are points. So you want to make sure you're lining up in such a way that if it's 3 o'clock, you want to land on 2s or 1s or 3s. And if you land exactly on the right clock, if you land on 3 o'clock at 3 o'clock, then you're going to be able to take that card plus an additional one. So it's very beneficial. It's a little chaotic. It's a little random. It's not one that I'm going to break out every time. But I thought it was a cool concept, kind of using the time as a mechanism within the game.
Yeah. All right, in Bog, you have these frogs that you're trying to go across the pond, but what's really fun is they have to hop in a certain direction, and that's open information. So your opponent knows the direction that you're hopping, and that might be important because you are also hopping in certain directions. And if you land on a frog, you'll be able to capture that frog. If you get the frogs to land in a certain way, you can also reveal another card, a card you have in your hand to say, hey, this fits a pattern. I get a certain amount of points based on how many it hits. And then also on the back of the cards is all the scorings. It's 1, 2, or 3, depending on if you can get your frog all the way across, if you land on somebody's frog, or if you get one of those points for the different grid of who's on where. There's a lot of information on one of these little bits of cards. It was, yes, this was a yes.
All right, that's what we're talking about is win, because I won this competition of choosing the best games in this set. All right, so win is basically a horse racing game, and if the art or the font looks familiar, it's kind of an Easter egg based off of another game in the Perplexed lineup that I'll let you discover on your own. But basically, this is a horse racing game where you have a little bit of money, and you're using that money to bet on certain horses. You're kind of using some special abilities to move certain horses ahead or behind, and the way that the cards lay out, it kind of determines what you're able to do, what your actions are, and it's randomized, and it kind of dwindles down at the end of each turn, which is a really cool mechanism. At the beginning, whoever's first player has a lot of choices, and whoever's the third or fourth player has a lot less choices. But then the next round, it all shifts, and the next person's going to have more choices, and the next player who had the previously was first player now has not a lot of choices. So it's constantly in flux, constantly balanced in a way that you're just manipulating these horses and betting on who you think is going to win. So that is a really fun horse racing game, all dialed down in this little tiny box.
So I really like this set. Ryan and I really like this set, but there are 2 games for us that kind of rose above the entire set. So if you just wanted to get 2 of them and you didn't want to get the whole set, these are the 2 for us. Definitely Bog and definitely Mad. Oh my gosh, we were blown away with these games of how much you can do in such a little package. Our 7-year-old played with us on this.
She was asking for it again and again.
She was asking for it again. It's so funny when you play games with kids, because when they grow, they understand rule set, but they don't understand strategy. So it's a lot of fun to play that with her, because she totally did, even though she still beat me. I don't even know how that happened. Like my 7-year-old, as we're flipping these things and trying to figure it out, but she did it. But those are the 2 that for us definitely were our favorites in set 3.
Yeah, I think this is just absolutely brilliant, absolutely genius. It makes me just like blown away every time I play one of these. How did he come up with all those ideas? Yeah. Now there's some of the games that they had a lot of similarities to them. I think for me, Far and Nut all kind of shared a similar idea of clumping things together and trying to get more sets, and only the biggest set of each one of those scored. So for that was like those 3 are very similar. So you know,
it's like variations on each other almost.
Exactly. But man, I definitely think that the Packer Games set 3 is very strong, extremely travelable. 8 full board games in this one little pouch. Yeah. That's awesome. Man, I'm just looking forward to set 4 already.
Everybody, thank you so much for watching it. Don't forget to subscribe so you can see our videos as they come out. Until then, you can follow us in all of these places.
Guys, thanks for watching, and we will see you next time. Bye. You guys, thanks so much for watching. This game was provided to us by a publisher in exchange for a fair and honest review.
And if you want to see more stuff, check out over here to see something we think you might like.
And over here, we think that YouTube has picked out a great video for you you're going to love. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next time.